Hello, I'm Viktor Krauss. Thanks so much for joining me here in the studio to talk about Heather Bond's latest single, All My Love. Um, All My Love is the classic Led Zeppelin song, originally appearing in 1979 on In Through the Outdoor. The idea kind of came to mind after seeing Heather's band, The Daybreaks, do a few really well-known famous songs like Let's Dance by David Bowie, Bananarama's Cruel Summer. That was actually a really nice arrangement of that, and I kind of initially suggested it just kind of in passing. Boy, that'd be kind of a cool one to hear the band do, especially with her voice. And it kind of kept coming back during the course of when we were making the rest of the record, which was entirely original material. I've been asked to rework certain songs in the past that were, are super famous, and that poses kind of a fun challenge. What I often do is, in the case of that, is to try to look up as many versions of a particular song as possible, and to see if there's a way that can to cover something that hasn't been done before in terms of the arrangement. And in the case of Led Zeppelin, there's absolutely no way you can have the best players in the world, but they're not going to be John Paul Jones, Jimmy Page, John Bonham, and Robert Plant. We're back again here in the studio. Though we didn't do this recording here, a lot of the same equipment was used. We actually did the bulk of the tracks in the building right in front of us, beyond this window, about 30 feet away. And then the lead vocals were done at Bobby Holland's studio, who mixed the record. I love the original recording so much that I really wanted to, completely respect it by not doing or not trying to copy everything that had already been done, but also take certain elements that we all recognize, and almost to the point where we're realizing it as great composition all along. It's always fun to revisit the multi-track after the song has been mixed for a little while, and to see all the little parts that are in there. It's I was surprised when I went back and looked at how much detail is involved with this particular track. Our interpretation of the song kind of went through a number of phases. The first one, we kind of established a beat kind of close to the original tempo, if not exactly the original tempo, and I played bass. And it was a little bit, I was trying to find the original recording, but I was unsuccessful. And I remember kind of coming up with this bass line. It was a... So it was a little funkier than where we ended up. And, it was maybe a little bit drum heavy, and decided to kind of go in the direction where we ended up. So I did use this bass, which is the Jusek bass. It's kind of my, go-to. So once we decided to evolve it into somewhere else than where I originally did on the upright bass, the first thing you hear on the recording is this instrument, this Gibson Eb3, and it's just harmonics. It's like, I believe I think I tuned up maybe a half step to be able to get. I think we're in E flat for Heather's recording, and so. That's the first thing you hear, and then there's the upright bass part that's happening, and there's also the mini moog, which appears in a couple spots. Let's listen to a little bit of that. Here, we'll solo a couple of these instruments. This is the Eb3 bass. Oh, I think we're in D flat as opposed to E flat, which is on almost as much fun. I'll add in the upright bass, which is both a DI and a microphone. Here's that same little bit with the upright. Just double stops there. I like using both the DI and microphone for different things. Obviously, the microphone for you know, the true nature of the instrument. It's a more accurate representation of what's going on, and the DI offers a little bit more presence, almost so you can kind of compete like an electric bass. Oh, we've got birds, the old location. If we add the mini Moog, so here's all together. For keyboards, we used just a couple. Here, we used this Wurlitzer electric piano. It's kind of the one that you're hearing prominently with the more percussive part. The sustaining instrument is this wonderful old Prophet 5 synthesizer. Patch 41, which I use way too much with the low-pass filter down a little bit. This Mustel, I'm probably pronouncing it incorrectly, Celeste, and the ever-present and appreciated Arp Selena. So kind of in the synth family, but not a synth, is this Fernandez sustainer guitar. Basically a Strat with a circuit in it that behaves the same way as an EBow. It's an electronic pull between these two pickups that allows it to sustain and makes the string vibrate. It's somewhat of a secret weapon. I absolutely, again, overuse it. But a trick I do in Pro Tools with it is to pull the front end off, like fade it in and fade it out, so you don't actually hear an attack that often. And I use this Terra Echo pedal. Oh, this is a total mess over here. This pedal really kind of is a nice complement to it. So this is kind of, I think it's two of them I'm doing here. That's the one time that I wanted to hear the attack. And, you know, it was kind of a famous sound that you hear, gosh, you hear it in all over Def Leppard songs. Kind of one of the most famous use of this effect, or the Sustainiac. I think maybe the first time I heard it was on U2's With or Without You. All the guitar, you know, it sounds like a synth that's happening, but it's such an effective tool. The first person I saw use it in person was Dean Parks, and I instantly had to have one. So here's that same section that we just heard with all the synths. The famous TR-808, I guess originally built in 1981, was not a success, and then became later on as one of the most famous drum machines ever. And in fact, TR-808 has almost become an adjective for how you refer to his drums and you know, certain recordings. We used this one pretty much just as a bass drum, and I believe the hi-hat makes an appearance in the solo section, but we also used some real drums to hit some of the tops of sections. We did decide that we didn't want the drums to be a huge role in this, and so they're just more of a pulse or low end and accents for sections. With the internet, I was able to find a great score, a MIDI score of somebody who just did a terrific transcription of the whole song, almost every part. We wanted to have cello on this, and we asked if Matt Nelson, Heather's longtime collaborator and friend, to come in and play some cello on the track. Again, not wanting to do exactly what was played, we kind of picked bits and pieces of certain tracks and made an arrangement. I wanted to make sure that the very famous opening lick that wasn't heard until very late in the song, until we are really we all know what the song is by this point, and that was kind of a goal of mine, was to really kind of disguise it a little bit, and and if you knew the words right away and the melody, which are instantly recognizable, but the track is completely different, it may take you a minute. So Matt, Matt and I had kind of picked up particular parts from the score, the MIDI score, and kind of decided on what we felt was necessary, and what was really kind of at this point considered composition and what was individual arrangement. It's a nice background vocal moment. We only did that for one moment in the song, in the fourth verse, and there's a couple little doubling of the lead vocal and maybe like a third above at times. It was always a treat to work with Heather on background vocals because she'd be so quick. So the tendency was to always add tons and tons. I think on one of the songs, Resist, we had 30 background vocals, and soloing all that was really fun. One of the first overdubs that came to mind when we decided to do the song, I think even way before, was to have the great Maeve Gilchrist, lever harpist or Celtic harp player, play the famous solo that appears in the original song. And this was one of those moments that we decided, okay, this is really part of the composition, because it is just so well known, and to hear anything else seems almost out of character. We did a record together back in 2007. I met Maeve, there she is, at the Berklee School of Music, and just an astounding player. We did a couple concerts together and decided to make a record together a couple years later, and she played on one other track on Heather's record, Fountain of Youth, and just flawless playing. So this is in the intro section. Just pretty much send her a chart, and that's about all you need. The only thing that we did request, just because it was thought as, that very famous solo, that I gave her a notated copy of the solo, and this is how she interpreted it. I do particularly love how the beginning unfolds, especially with the harp edition. Thanks again for tuning in. It's really pretty fun for me to revisit these tracks, and to kind of, it brings back memories of kind of the fun we had with this. For any more information on the single and the rest of Heather's record, visit heatherbondmusic.com, or any more information on me, it's victorkrauss.com. Thanks for watching. See ya.